Welcome back to another video podcast from Lambert Creative Media. So grateful to have you with us today and so excited about our guest today. I'll tell you about him coming up in just a moment. I want to take just a quick moment to remind you that if you want to be involved in these videos, you want to have a chance to comment, to look at them, to share, to enjoy them, to learn from them, I want to encourage you to subscribe. Go to my YouTube channel, Lambert Creative Media, and subscribe today. And click that little bell that will let you know anytime there's something coming up as well, so you don't miss anything. Also, it's really helpful if you can share these broadcasts. That's helpful for me. Also, writing a comment and sharing that is helpful as well. So I just want to, again, encourage you to subscribe, hit that little bell so you're always notified when things are coming up. And then one of the most important things is commenting and sharing as well. I would really appreciate if you could take a few moments to do that. So excited about my guest today. He's probably one of, if not the most recognized figure skaters in the entire world. And he has done competition through the years, now does shows all over. We'll tell you about one of those coming up soon. Olympic gold medalist, 4-time world champion, 70 titles under his belt, and just an incredible career. In addition to that, he now supports a lot of cancer research through his Scott Hamilton Cares Foundation. He helps with educational opportunities for kids. There's just so many things involved. Hope to get to many of those today, but I'm just so grateful to have him with us. Scott Hamilton, thanks so much for being with us today on this Lambert Creative Media podcast.
Well, this will be fun. I just hanging out talking. So this will be a lot of fun. So thank you for having me on.
You know, as a lot of people look at your career and the incredible success that you've had over so many years, I think it would be easy for people to get lost in the real kind of backstory of your life. You experienced quite a difficult and challenging childhood before you ever got to any of that success. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
You know, I was sort of brought into the world as an unintended, unwanted child, and my mother was brave enough to, bring me into the world and put me up for adoption immediately. I was adopted 6 weeks later. I kind of wonder now what took so long, but there I am. Adopted into this wonderful family, and I just being loved and nurtured and supported. And it was soon after that they realized that I wasn't growing really at all, and I was showing some signs of stress. So for the time I was 4-ish to 8-ish, I was in and out of hospitals trying to come up with the reason I wasn't growing or developing, and it was a very scary time for my parents. There was no real family medical history that they could tap into to see if this was normal, and so for all those years, my mom would sit or sleep in a chair in the corner of the room. The children's hospitals back then aren't what they are today, and that was kind of my childhood, is being around a lot of other sick kids like me. And then by the time we got to the Boston Children's Hospital in our tour of hospitals, it was there that the doctor said, we can't identify. No one could identify what was wrong back then. We wouldn't find out for decades what was happening, but he just gave my parents some advice: go home, live a normal life, and just who knows, maybe he'll outgrow this thing, whatever it is, and just go. So we went home, and it was very stressful, very scary. And so our family physician, who lived 3 doors down from us, a very small town in Ohio called Bowling Green, came and just said, okay, this is a one-man intervention. You guys need to recharge your batteries. You're exhausted. You're shattered. You're just, mentally just done. You need one day a week, one morning where you sleep in, where you can relax, where you can just sort of just be, and then hopefully you'll be able to heal and rise above all of this. And so they didn't understand how that was even possible. And he said, I wouldn't come with that if I didn't have a solution. And he just mentioned to my mom and dad, my dad was a professor of biology at Bowling Green State University in Ohio back then. And my mom was teaching second grade and raising this family. And he said, there's a brand new facility at the university. I know you know about it. It's an ice rink. And they teach kids how to skate, from the community. It's not just for the university students. Every Saturday morning, they open it up to the community and they teach children how to skate. And so I went, and I was around a lot of well kids, and I was really excited, and I was really super happy, and it was fun to be in that environment. And yeah, I just started skating, and miraculously, and I don't discount that, miraculously, whatever was happening for those 4 years that I was in the hospitals, it ebbed away. I was able to start growing again. I was able to start processing foods properly. I was starting to build muscle. I was starting to, kind of show all the signs of being a normal and active 9-year-old, and it was miraculous.
Did you experience a love for skating from the beginning, or if not, where did that come in?
Oh, well, it kind of started coming almost right away. It's like, when you're a sick kid around a lot of well kids, and especially kids that are very athletic and very active and living normal lives, right? It's like when you get on the ice, it's like equal footing, as it were, right? So we're all just trying to figure out how to stand up in these knives that are strapped to our feet, and it was just sort of everybody was just sort of like wobbling and holding onto the wall, and it was, I realized after several weeks that I could get around without hanging onto the wall at all, and I could skate as well as the well kids, and it was like, whoa, this is remarkable, because I was always the smallest one in my class, the sickest one in my class, all the S's, right? Small S, sick S, the one that was always gone and doing different medical appointments. And now I realized that I could do something like the well kids were doing something. And then several weeks later, I realized that I could skate as well as the best athletes in my grade. And honestly, it was my very first taste of self-esteem. And I like to tell people, and I'm sure you agree, that if you have self-esteem, your whole world changes. You're not, subject to, or you're not less than, or you're not, limited. You now have, the feelings and the intuitions and everything, that I can do something remarkable. I can do something at a high level. And so I just couldn't be at the rink enough. I was there all the time, and I skating nonstop, and every public session, and all of that turned into a coach saying, I think he needs to start getting into a test and competitive program. Started testing, started competing, and it was really whirlwind. It just started with those first steps, and less than, I'd say, like 9 months later, I'm in my first competition, and it's really wild to think back on how that one step of faith of going to an ice rink when I was really little was really the first steps in creating something that was beyond anything I would have ever thought to dream or wish for.
As a young guy, as you're starting through this experience, you're beginning to see that you're good, you're beginning to see that you're better, you're beginning to look at opportunities for competition. Was there a point in there where you kind of looked back just a short time before and realized where you were and how far you'd gotten in such a short amount of time?
I think children at that age are super resilient. It's like, oh, we're gonna do this is fun. Let's just do this. I never really thought of my life as different, because I was around so many other kids like me. We were in hospitals, and I remember, I think it was in Ann Arbor. I'm pretty sure, when I was at the University of Michigan, a children's hospital there. There was a man who came in to visit his daughter, who was very, very, very sick, and he would always bring in a balloon, and we would play with a balloon, and we had this thing where we'd hit it at the same time, and then it was like disappear, and I was like, where is it? And then slowly it would kind of like fall down in front of me. But we did this all the time, and it was kind of, I couldn't wait for him to come, because he was a dad, and his daughter was very sick, and he was just really fun. And I was probably around 7 then, and then he just stopped coming to the hospital. And I asked my mom about it, and she got very sad. His daughter passed away, and it's those types of memories and those types of life experiences that really sort of shape and form your worldview. And so for me, it was, I understood how precious life is. I understood um, the fear and the anxiety my parents were going through. I knew that I was a lot like these sick kids, and that, we kind of held that all in common. And I almost felt odd, kind of going home and being in my neighborhood and being around all the other well kids, because their lives looked a lot different than mine did.
You started into these competitions. When did you or your parents or your coach realize, hey, we've got something here?
When I started growing again, they didn't care. I mean, my dad was a biology professor. It's like he didn't care about sports. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. He just really liked the people in the rink, the other parents. And my mom was very very, very much a nurturing person. My dad was more kind of in the ROTC when he was in college, and he was very focused and driven, and he got his PhD very young. And he was just that disciplined guy, and nobody took his class for the grade, that type of thing. And he was a great guy. I mean, he was very he mellowed out, over time, but generally, he just never took a drink in college, and he kind of set that example, for all of us. And my mom, on the other hand, was the big hugger. I joked that she was a 4x4, but she was just always, there. I was always on her lap. I was always hugging her. She was very affectionate, and I just adored my mom. And so we kind of grew up in this thing where they just loved that they found something where I could finally physically, health wise, improve. And so, we all got into, again, a very small town. Skating club was all the people in our neighborhoods and all the people that we knew from the university, and they got invested in that. My dad would build the props for the ice shows, and my mom she was a test chairman. So when we have all these little compulsory figure tests or whatever the dance tests, she was in charge of scheduling the ice and getting the tests worked out and scheduled, bringing in the judges and who was going to judge what at what time and where. And that was, kind of how she really got involved. And it was fun. There was a small group of us that were dedicated figure skaters, and we would go early in the morning and then get to school for second period. We missed first period because we were in the ice, and then we go right back to the rink after school, and then we'd skate on the weekend. So it was really fun, growing up that way. And again, my parents they just found new ways of building community and participating in things, and especially my newfound health was a great motivating factor for them to do more and more and more.
Let's move forward a few years. 70 titles in your career, 70 plus titles. Do you actually remember what that first title was and what you thought when that first win came? Do you remember?
Well, I was pretty, there's not a lot of boys in figure skating, even back then. There's, probably, I don't know, 10, 15 girls for every guy in the rink, so there'd be other boys in the rink, and we always had a good time together, but it was mostly girls, right? So the thing is if you medal, um, if you medal at a competition as a girl, you're probably very good because there's so many other girls to compete against. If you don't medal when you're a boy, um, it's kind of like not a great thing. So I was really good regionally. Like, if you look at the Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, even getting over to Illinois a little bit, down to, over West Virginia, and even, a little bit into Kentucky, I was pretty good in that like region. If you get into the section, which is the whole middle part of the United States, I was average, maybe a little above average. And then when I started competing on the national level, I was what's the word I'm looking for? I was oh yeah, that's right, a loser. I was terrible. I just wasn't competitive at all on the national level. And my first nationals ever on the novice, they put the novice boys event right before the senior ladies championship, which was Janet Lynn's last nationals. At the time, she was the most popular women athlete in the world. And standing room only, 17,500 people in the arena. and I had to skate in front of more people in one place than I'd ever seen in my whole life combined. And I couldn't feel my legs or my feet. I was so scared. And I like to joke that I rose to the occasion 5 times. I fell 5 times in a 3-minute program. It's like, how do you have time to fall down and get up that many times? And I came in dead last, and then the next year, it was another one of those things where I came in next to last, 9 out of 10. First year was 9 out of 9, the next year was 9 out of 10. And I figured, well, I'm kind of getting up in the high school years. I better go up to junior. And so I went up to the junior level, which is the next one up from novice, and got to nationals, and I actually beat 2 guys. Whoop, whoop. I mean, that was not, again, regionally strong, sectionally, and nationally. And so it wasn't until that 7th place out of 9 finish in the first year in juniors that things started to change. And that was the family dynamic started to change. My mom came home with a very cheerful doctor's appointment result. Wanted to have a family meeting. She goes, okay, everybody, family. She was very upbeat, very happy, very positive. And I kind of understand why she was that way now. She was that way so she could share the news that she was just diagnosed with cancer. And she didn't want us to be scared because, cancer was a word you didn't even say back then. It was the C word, right? So she came home, we're like, okay, everybody, all right, I'm gonna have some medicines. I may not feel good. I'm gonna have some surgery later on. And I just need some help around the house because she was, to pay for my skating, she was working, obviously full time, helping raise this family and going to school to get her master's where she could get a job at the university with more pay, health benefits, all the other stuff. So she was, really leveraged, and she ended up, getting her master's and becoming an associate professor in the home economics department. Ironically, in marriage and family relations, she was awesome, and she just knew, what to say to kids. She just knew how to, pour into her marriage and make, that, just sing, and she was an extraordinary woman. So in that family meeting, she just said, we're broke and we'll get you through one more year of skating. We'll scrape it together somehow. But you graduate high school this year. This will be your last year in skating. And then next year you can go to the university. Since your father and I are both professors, we can afford free. So you're going to be a student starting next year. And so I understood they sacrificed a lot for me to be in skating. And so I went back to where I was skating in Illinois, and my main coach had retired. A new coach stepped in that was a little bit much stricter and much more of my old coach was very technical and very learned and very specific. This coach was very driven, trained, kind of that whole thing. And so he was cracking the whip pretty hard on me, and I just submitted. We get to the nationals that year, and again, my track record is the last, next to last, second to last, and I get to, and my mom's, there. Wearing a wig because she lost all her hair to chemo, and her arm was in a sling because they removed her left breast and most of the inside of her left arm with all lymph nodes, and she had the biggest smile on her face. And I just said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "I'm great." And I go, "What kind of drugs do they have you on right now?" Just trying to keep it light. And she goes, "Just skate. We'll talk when you're done. We have lots to talk about." And I said, "Okay." So I went out, and my coach said, "Oh, by the way, you just got your triple Salchow last week. Don't warm it up." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because we don't really want to know if it's there or not, right? Just go out and just do doubles and go, you worry about the triple when you get to the performance itself." So I went out and I landed my first jump, set up triple Salchow, and my last competition ever. What have I got to lose? And I just landed it. It's like, thank you, Lord. I just landed it. And I got so excited, I forgot to mess up the rest of my program. And I won junior nationals. But the crazy thing about that was on my mom's way to the nationals that year, she stopped in Chicago. She flew from Ohio to Chicago to Colorado. And she met a couple that one of our judge friends arranged for us to meet with. And they were a very wealthy couple that had no children. They loved skating, and they heard about me and didn't want me to have to quit due to lack of funds where they had more than enough. And so they agreed to sponsor me. This is before I did anything.
Yeah.
I'm still 7th out of 9 in the country.
Yeah.
And so my mom came to nationals with the news, basically with the understanding that my skating career wasn't over, it was just beginning. And that junior national win gave me a lot of momentum going into seniors. The only problem was I lacked the maturity, focus, and basic understanding to really follow through. I went back to my 9th place ways. My first year in senior, I was a disaster. I don't even know how I made it to nationals that year. I was so distracted. I call it the trifecta. I turned 18. I was sponsored, and I got my own apartment.
Mm.
It's like, no, I mean, I lacked all. I was a mess. And so that 9th place finish was humiliating, especially given the fact that was afforded this amazing opportunity to skate in such a high, level area. The coach that took me over coached the year that he offered me the sponsorship. He was coaching a girl named Dorothy Hamill to a gold medal. So I basically won the lottery, and I just was too immature to really understand the opportunity. And I wasn't focused. I was just kind of everywhere. And then right after that 9th place finish in the senior nationals, I went home, be back in Ohio with my family. And it was there that my mom took a turn for the worse. And I was in her room until about 3:30 in the morning, and went home. She was unconscious at that point. She was, they wanted to guard her from being in a lot of pain. And I was sleeping on the couch in the family room because we had a lot of people there to support us because, it wasn't looking great. And my brother-in-law at the time, he just woke me up on the couch in the family room because we're all sleeping. And all he said was, "Your mother is gone." And all I could think to say was, "I know." And I don't even know why I said that. But it was, you have to understand that she was the person in this world I love the most. And she sacrificed everything for me to be in skating. And so I just got up and I went for a walk in our backyard, and I just walked for, I don't know how long, an hour, 2 hours, just trying to process, how do I do this without her? And I realized in that walk that I didn't have to. I would take her with me every day to the ice, and I would allow her sacrifice and her love for me to be um, a source of inspiration, a force for good. Also, hold me accountable. And so I called my coach, Carlo, and I just said, "A different young man is returning to Colorado. I am going to be on fire. I just want you to be ready for what's next." And he said, "Oh, okay, sure. That's great. Whatever." I came back and I was so on fire that I was exhausting him. And he sent me to um, Ontario, Canada for the summer just to, get my new programs, get away from him because I was driving him crazy. And I came back from that summer just armed to the teeth with triple jumps, consistent, great programs that really were, going to set a new standard, for technical skating. And that fall, um, I I came in, or that I said that next season I came in 3rd at the U.S. Championships, which put me on the world figure skating team, where I came in 11th. And then 2 years later, um, I'm on the Olympic team where I placed 5th. And then after that Olympics and the ensuing World Championship, where I came in 5th again, I'm 5th. The top 3 guys retire because one went pro, another went to medical school, another one went pro. So all I had to do is get up one morning in late March, and I'm ranked 2nd in the world. And that's where things truly, truly began. Starting in October of 1980 to March of 1984, through the Olympics and World Championships, I never lost another competition. And that's what you're alluding to. I went from being at the very bottom and being underperforming, unfocused, to being hyper focused, super well trained, and at committing at a level that I never thought I could commit to. But it was that really got me to become very consistent and to start doing harder jumps more consistently than anybody had done them up to that point. and to be able to be well-rounded. And the main thing was consistency. I just didn't miss. And that's how you win, and that's how you stay there. You just don't miss.
70 titles, 4 world championships, an Olympic gold medal. Do any of those stand out kind of at the top that you just look back on and say, this man, what a moment, what a moment?
Now, I mean, it's all it each everything had its own identity. I remember standing on the world podium, getting my first championship, and all I could think was either the world of men's figure skating is at its lowest place in history, or I better up my game because I'm the world champion. There's just no way. I mean, it's just no way. I'm still that ninth place guy, right? And so I freaked out. My coach, Don Laws, who was amazing, he kind of, with very soft touch kick gloves, allowed me to still work at a really high level, even though I was driving myself crazy. And he just sort of kind of guided me through that next year to where I was standing on the world podium the next year with another championship gold medal around my neck. And I looked to my left and my right, and I looked around. I go, I'm not competing against the history of the sport or every sentient being in the planet. I'm competing against guys like me, just like me. So where I freaked out, title number one, I kind of took ownership of it, title number two, by understanding that I'm just competing against people like me, just guys. They're just guys. And my whole goal is to stay ahead of these guys for 2 more years so I can win an Olympic gold medal and all those things. And then the next year I went, and it felt like something in the wind shifted, and I needed to prove that I was the guy. And I did. I won the third world title. And it was there that, all the momentum going into the next year was it was unbelievable. And standing on the podium at Sarajevo, with an Olympic gold medal around my neck, what in the world? All I kept thinking of is, how did this happen? I was in such shock that, I was really sad that my mom couldn't be there to see it. I was really kind of lost that pretty much everything I'd ever experienced and remembered in my life was leading to this moment. Who am I now? What do I do next? What do I, who am I? And looking over the edge of the podium, I mean, I felt incredible pride for my country, and I was really, happy with the accomplishment. It's just looking over the podium, I felt like I was looking over a cliff. It's like, what now? What do I do? What do I do? And so, well, I had one more world championship to compete in, and so I did that, won my fourth, and then I knew I needed to turn professional because I was basically broke, living in my closest friend's parents' basement, and I needed to get a job. I was 25 years old, and I needed to. It was purely amateur back then, not like it is now, where you can do endorsements and you can do whatever you want. Back then, is you weren't allowed to do anything with your skating except skate. I couldn't teach. I couldn't accept money for performances except for a little stipend. I couldn't do anything. And so now I had all this momentum from these 4 years, and this kind of notoriety. I received the Olympics, and it was like, okay, what do I do now? And I needed to turn pro. And so the only real option for me to turn pro was the Ice Capades. I carry a picture here in my office of the president of Ice Capades, who said that, if you're going to party and everything else, you probably aren't going to live long enough to even open with Ice Capades. And it's like, excuse me, I just came off a run like no other. I think I can handle this. He goes, no, you Olympic guys, you join the show and you think that the work's been done. Now you can have fun. And so you end up missing shows, especially the first show on Sunday, because you had 3 on Saturday. And now you're going to party. It's just we have to sign you. We don't really want to, but we have to. So, welcome to the company, and hope it works out. But he was really a downer, a real big down. I just said, look, I'm going to be the best employee you've ever had. I'll never miss a show, and I'll never miss a press obligation, and I'll be a model employee. And he said, okay, we'll see. So I have his picture in my office. So I had a 3-year deal, 2 years for sure, and then a third year option where either one of us could say yes or no to the option. And so for the 2 years that I skated with him, I never missed a show. In fact, I did extra weeks for other headliners that were injured or sick or whatever. Never missed a press call, did everything I said I was going to do. And then he uh, gave me the news that they were going through a sale. And I just was excited to meet the new owner. And he said, well, he doesn't want to meet you. I go, why? Because he doesn't want any men. He only wants to present women champions. So
Wow.
good luck. And I go, what do you mean good luck? We're not picking up your third year option. And so after doing everything right, I I lose, this incredible opportunity, this wonderful job, this high paying job, and I'm stepping into a void. And I remember I went down to Florida. I was a huge tennis fan. And my manager was in charge of the tennis division at IMG. So I had backstage pass to everything. It was really fun, being a fan and getting to, do all these things. And so we're meeting on down in Florida, and we said, let's go out to the beach and just talk. And I go, all right. So we're sitting out on the beach, and he said, I pulled every trick I can. I've done everything I can. I've pleaded your case. I've done everything. Ice capades aren't going to have you back at all, not even for a week. And I was like, okay. And he said, hey, but we've been talking internally, and we see what you've done over the last, especially 7 years. Do you want to help us start a tour? And I remember looking at him going, well, let me check my calendar. It's like, I am so unemployed. And I said, yes, I do. I really want to help you start a tour. And so I worked all summer. I started working with a new choreographer who really helped me step into a new style of skating and a new way of thinking about professional skating. And then I just put pen to paper and I started designing. What's the ice going to look like? What's the show going to look like? What's the lighting going to look like? What are some musical ideas for like a big spectacular opening and for small group numbers, the Olympic champions skating together and really doing these, and then a big finale at the end, and do it very theatrically and really make it interesting and different and unique, and just have like a 12-member ensemble Olympic champion cast, and just you see how that works. And so we did 5 shows in the fall in all college rinks. It was hilarious. And then they said, well, that's good, but we want to try it tennis style now, where we just sort of show up and plug into their house system, and then just do house lights with maybe some spotlights and do it that way. And after doing 5 of those, they went back. We like your way better. So they went back to the theatrical way, and they decided they're going to commit to a 30-city tour the next season, only if they could sign Dorothy Hamill, which they did. And then Discover Card, a brand new company back then, brand new company, decided they wanted to market through us. And so we became Discover Stars on Ice.
Wow.
And we did 30 cities every year in the United States for 6 years. And we were losing money a little bit in the beginning. And then they started to understand how to sell, how to market, how to do all that stuff. By the time we got to years like 4, 5, 6, we're starting to make money for the company. And that was really good, because I was afraid that was another opportunity that's going to go away. And then something really profound happened. Kristi Yamaguchi wins the Olympic Games, Olympic gold medal in women's figure skating. And everybody's after clamoring for Kristi. And she goes, no, 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 I want to go to Stars and Ice.
Mm.
So we went from being a 30-city tour to being a 60-city tour. And now with 60 cities, we can do more production and bigger lighting grids and patterns. And we can play more arenas, and we can do all these amazing things. And we became a 60-city tour. And then we always did 12 more in Canada. So in the North America, we did 72 cities. And it was remarkable because everybody in skating wanted to join Stars on Ice, and the the fan base of figure skating just loved the idea of having this, instead of going to like a traditional show like a Holiday on Ice or an Ice Follies or Ice Capades or a Disney on Ice. They were going to where they have one Olympic champion or whatever. Now they're going to a show where everybody on the ice is an Olympian. A lot of them have won world titles. A lot of them have done a lot of really cool things, and they get to see them all on the ice at once. And it just kind of kept building on itself. You know, I remember, when we were on tour, I'm sitting there, I'm looking at I've got Kurt Browning and Paul Wiley and Brian Orser and the guys, and Dan's team was Torval and Dean. And pair teams were, for many years, Peter and Kitty Crothers, and then Gordiev and Grinkoff were with us, for all those years. And I'm looking and thinking, this is crazy. And it was Katarina Witt and Rosalind Sumners and Christy Yamaguchi and all these, top women in the sport are with us. And it's like, this is remarkable. And every single year, the ticket sales would go like this, to the point where I remember stepping on the ice in St. Louis, and there were 19,600 people in the audience. Every seat was taken. And I was scared to get on the ice, because it was like I was looking straight up to the top of the building, and there were people. And it was like, how am I gonna? This is scary. This is scary. I mean, we sold out Madison Square Garden like 5 years in a row. We were selling out buildings, setting attendance records for specialty shows in most of the buildings in the United States. And it was just it was a huge success story, and it just kept, people were invested in not only us as skaters and performers, but us as human beings. And it was just this beautiful relationship that was formed with a touring company of driven professional skaters, and a very loyal and caring audience. It was unbelievable.
That's amazing. It's incredible to see from your early days through those days what the Lord was able to do in your life,
Yeah.
and what that hard work and dedication meant. It's incredible. We just got a minute left here, and I would be remiss if I didn't at least give you the opportunity to talk about your passion for those who've gone through cancer. Your mother died of cancer. You have been through cancer. I know that you've put together a foundation. Just tell us quickly about the foundation, and I'm going to put
Yeah.
up some graphics so people can see a special event you have coming up that'll help raise money for that as well.
Well, I lost my mom to cancer, as I mentioned earlier, and I always thought if I could find a cure for her cancer, then I'll know why I was born. And so I just funded research all those years, and then we decided in my survivorship that I go, there's a lot of stuff missing here. We got to fix that. So we got to work. We created chemocare.com, which helps people through chemotherapy. We created the Fourth Angel Mentoring Program, which allows newly diagnosed patients to be paired with survivors that work as role models and life coaches. And then we're always funding research. And now, as a dedicated foundation, we are only, I've been a volunteer since day one. I won't accept a penny for any of this. So anything that people contribute goes straight to the cause. Small staff, we are an alliance. CARE stands for the Cancer Alliance for Research, Education, Survivorship. We partner with other like-minded organizations to really, lift each other up to meet goals. And now we're just really looking at a way to treat the cancer and spare the patient harm through investing in targeted therapies, immunotherapy, and the awareness, and hopefully the expansion of proton therapy as a more defined thing. We have our signature events, like the graphic that just went up November 20th. We do music and skating, so iconic musicians and their sets come out and perform for Olympic skaters, and it's just an exciting sensory overload event, but it raises money for our goals. We go after the big nasty bullies. We're right now raising money to fund an immunotherapy program in glioblastoma multiforme brain cancer. I rode 444 miles on a bicycle this year to raise money for glioblastoma multiforme brain cancer. And it's just everything we do. We're just trying to really just change the way people are treated forever and for the better. I had chemotherapy. I'm in my 25th anniversary of survivorship. I can't wait to get rid of it. Immunotherapy seems to be, and it's been proven to be, the next viable solution, where we can train T cells to detect and destroy the cancer, leave the rest of the body alone. And for me, that's worth every minute I spend raising money for it. So if people want to join us, we have a 1984 campaign where people can pledge $19.84 a month. And that's one way of just us getting, current income in to be able to, build a mass of people. Or they can just go and make a one-time contribution at scottcares.org, or a one of many contribution at scottcares.org. And we just want to, save lives. And we're really close. I work with the Moffitt Cancer Center in Florida. Did a lot of stuff with the Cleveland Clinic Taussig Cancer Center, many years with them. And I'm here to tell you that the promise of the future for cancer treatment is remarkable. But we have to work towards it, and we have to fund it, and we have to raise money for it. We have to, all those things. The work is constant, never ending, stressful. But I can't think of a better way to spend my days than trying to save the life of an 18-year-old boy who loves his mom.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. I know your faith is very important to you. Final question. I've heard a story about your time in the hospital and about a special, unique, maybe even odd visit from a nurse. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about? Can you tell that
Yeah, no,
story?
exactly. Yeah, I was in intensive care. I was in uh, intensive care unit for neuro ICU for my brain stuff, and I was, they nicked an artery. It was kind of surgery didn't go as planned. I was scared, and I was in my room. I was praying, and a nurse walked in, and she was a little different. She had kind of a unique accent, like one I never really heard before, and her name was a little different, like bio. And I go, huh. Anyway, she goes, "Oh, I hear you talking. What are you talking about?" "Oh, I was just praying." And she goes, "Oh, you're praying. Do you pray?" I go, "I pray." She goes, "Oh, I love to pray too. When you pray, who do you pray to?" I said, "I pray to God and Jesus." And she goes, "Oh, that's beautiful. Um, so when you pray, how do you pray?" I go, "Well, I just thank Him for all the incredible blessings in my life." And she goes, "Huh? Who is He to you?" I go, "I guess He's my father." I'm paraphrasing. "I guess He's my father, I guess." And she said, "Ah, so if are you a father?" I go, "Yes, I am." She goes, "Hmm. Now, if one of your children were scared, hurting, at risk, and needing support, wouldn't you want them coming to you?" And I said, yeah, I guess I would." So she basically gave me a master class on prayer and how to ask
Mm,
for help, especially in the storm,
mm,
especially in the storm.
that's
And it really changed the way I look at God, not just as a provider, but as a healer, and as a calm in the storm, and as a miraculous change agent for every aspect of my life. It's been extraordinary. I can't even begin to tell you the how faith and my dedication to my faith has changed everything in my life for the better. It's extraordinary. It goes on and on. But I never saw that nurse again. And it makes me think that maybe she wasn't a nurse at all.
mm,
That she was an angel sent to guide me in a
yeah.
time of incredible fear, anxiety, and I was at risk because that artery that was nicked became an aneurysm and it could have burst at any moment. So my life would have been totally disrupted had that happened. But I'm grateful, and I'd love to see more and more people who are wondering why they're not happy, wondering why they're scared, or wondering why they're angry, to maybe step into a situation where they can learn more about who they are in Christ and who they are to their Creator, and step into that relationship as a source of power, comfort, and direction. It is really remarkable um, how it's changed my life forever. And I learn every day. I learn every day. This thing is with me every day. And it's funny because I've read it, pieces of it, and parts of it, and I learn every time it's from a different perspective. But I just finished reading every single page of that book about 2 weeks ago. I
Mm,
just dedicated. This is the year I read every, not just cover to cover, but go around and experience different things and try to connect the dots between Old and New Testament. And it's remarkable, the peace and the strength and the comfort that I live in now, just based on just seeking a relationship. Um, with Jesus, with God, and allowing the Spirit to do His work.
Yeah. Scott, I'm so grateful for your time. You've even been kind. We've gone beyond our allotted time. I'm
God,
just so grateful to you for your willingness to share what you've just shared. Thank you for the role model you are to young people
mm,
today. And
right.
even in these moments, as you've shared today, I know there are people who are watching now or who will be watching at some point who are going through tough times like you've
Yeah.
been through many, even from the earliest ages of your life. And I pray that they can grab onto something you've shared today. And I know they will. Blessings to you. I'm going to go back through and point people to your website and to all of the opportunities to engage. But thank you so much for your time and for your commitment to the Lord and your commitment to those who are dealing with cancer and their families. Just so grateful for that. Appreciate you
Um,
taking the time to be with me today.
Thank you. It was a blessing and an honor. I appreciate it very much.
Scott Hamilton, he is the four-time world champion, 70 titles, Olympic gold medalist. Wow, what a life. And let me just remind you, you can go to his website, scotthamilton.com. You are going to find everything there, links to his books, links to his foundation, to how you can give and be a part. That is a great way to get to him. The foundation, Scott Hamilton Cares Foundation, all of the information there about how you can donate and be a part of helping in that process. And then don't forget, I mean, if you are anywhere near the Nashville area or you just want a nice little weekend trip, there's nothing better than the Omni in Nashville. They're going to be at the Bridgestone Arena, Scott Hamilton and friends, and the resources raised during that go to the foundation and help people in the long term with those things that they need that Scott has addressed today. So, again, just so grateful for your time today. Please, again, subscribe, uh, leave a review, make a comment, share with others. If you know somebody who's a Scott Hamilton fan, who's a figure skating fan, they are going to love watching this. Please send it to them. Let them know. And again, subscribe and hit that little bell so anytime we have something coming up, you'll know about it. I just quickly ask for your prayers. I'm about to leave for a week. I'm going to Asia. Never been to this part of Asia. I'm going to Kuala Lumpur and to Jakarta, Indonesia, to meet with some ministry folks that I work with who are doing mentoring of business people, older business people, mentoring younger business people, hoping to grab some audio there, maybe even some video I can share here. But just pray for traveling mercies and health for our team. It'll be a great time together and a great opportunity to learn more about what the Lord is doing in Asia through his people. Blessings to you. Hope you have a great week and a great weekend. And stay tuned here to Lambert Creative Media for more to come. So grateful for you and grateful for you taking a moment to be with us here today. Have a great weekend.